Hi folks, Dan here from Dan's DVD Hut, purveyor of DVDs. I want to show you how to clean a DVD. And I've got all the supplies here. I'm going to teach you exactly how to do it, exactly what you're going to need to safely and properly clean it. But I want to say a couple things first. One of the reasons I'm making this video is because I found lots and lots of videos on how to take a really bad condition DVD and make it playable. But I couldn't find any that showed me how to just take a DVD that had fingerprints, so forth, and give it a really nice mirror finish. I started reaching the conclusion that places that knew how to do that were keeping it as trade secrets. And I want to tell you, I spent at least 10, 15 different iterations on how exactly to do this, because I clean hundreds and hundreds of DVDs, and you need a system that will work every time. So the very first thing I want to address is this: Windex. I hear the posts now that Windex will destroy it. We'll get into why we're using Windex in a second, but here's what I do want to say about cleaning DVDs. Don't do it if you can avoid it. Don't clean it this way if you can avoid it. But if you're like me and you occasionally come across a really nice condition DVD that's just got a few fingerprints, you know, it's worth a shot to give it a second life. And if done properly, you can really put a beautiful mirror finish back on it without doing any harm, because you're going to remove all the residue. So without further ado, we'll get started. You need the DVD. I just literally pulled some that need to be cleaned of what I have. So, you know, you're looking for things that you're not going to be able to do anything about. Scratches, even the tiniest scratch you can't do anything about, but you're looking for fingerprints, or maybe you just spilled milk on it. Otherwise, it's in really good condition. And some of them you can find that have lots of fingerprints, residue, any kind of whatever. People take really bad care of them, and as long as there's no scratches, generally you can make it look beautiful. So first and foremost, you need the initial washing step, a 6-inch buffing pad that I designate as the wet pad is what I use. So this one's actually kind of old, and I like it because it's gotten a tiny bit abrasive, but it's not enough to scratch the DVD. Generally speaking, if it's okay to use on your car finish, you're probably going to be okay as far as not scratching it. Don't use a t-shirt, don't use terry cloth. Just use some kind of microfiber synthetic buffing pad. But of course, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. This is one. So I'm sure you guys are already posting your great products and ideas on how to do this. That's great. Okay, so next thing you're going to need is you're going to need one of these dust-free polyester cloths. And you want to fold it just like so. So you get a good edge, a nice thick something you can work with. So a little square basically is what you're going for. And this will actually be used to wipe the dust and sort of dry the DVD at the same time. So this is absolutely critical that you have this. Okay, then you've got, I use a nice big, I think this is a 9 or 10, 12, something like that, inch buffing pad. And the softer and fluffier, the better. Some type of lens cleaner. This is the brand I found that I like the best. The Zeiss, whatever. It's got a little, you can smell it. It's got just a little alcohol in it. But this is the secondary step, and then this is your Windex. Now, Windex is frankly the least abrasive cleaner that will actually get the job done. You can use lots of things like alcohol and other things, but they won't remove the fingerprints. Now, again, if you don't have to clean it, don't. So the first step in cleaning is to start here with your 9-inch buffing cloth Oh, and by the way, I do this in the case. I always flip them outside like this so that I can clean them, because you're going to clean the case too at the same time. It makes it the simplest. And this way, when you have it in your collection or have it in stock, you can always inspect the condition without touching it. It works good. It's kind of an easy way to. This gets. I remove all this kind of sticker. So actually seeing this sticker here is kind of driving me nuts. I peel these off too. But you can see other videos. I'll probably do a video on how to revitalize a case, make it look perfect. Here I'm obsessed with the condition of the DVDs. So it's going to go out in a perfect looking case, and it's going to have almost no defects in terms of scratches. A few really light scratches is okay, but you know, so I'm meticulous about the condition. So this is a process I found that'll get good condition. So start by getting this nice and wet. I'm going to take it off screen to do this, but give it about 4 even squirts so it's nice and wet. Take this bad. Oh, that's one of the good reasons to keep it in the case. You can do that and not damage it. So this one's particularly bad in terms of, I don't know if this is savable. So what you want to do, now I have no idea if you can actually see the finish. You know, as I do this, one of the most critical steps to this deal is the lighting. You have to have really good lighting that allows you to see the surface of the DVD as you're cleaning it. You have to be able to see it as you clean it, particularly when you go to the wiping stage. So I'm doing this about 5 times more than I normally would, just to kind of show you guys the technique. I don't know if you can see this at all, but every stroke I take, the DVD rotates 3 or 4 degrees. So as I do it, it comes back. Now I can see this thing looks pretty well clean. Now you'll drag dust particles, or be dust particles from the case, etc. But I want to keep this wet just for the moment. I'm stretching this out because I'm talking and giving you a chance to sort of catch up with me. So you're going to clean the whole deal here. Now once you get with this Windex, as soon as you're clean, you want to grab this stuff quickly and give it a couple good squirts. Okay, now you're basically safe. Keeping that Windex from drying, period, is the best way to avoid the nasty residue. So then you're going to take this bad boy. I got a technique about like so. On different cases have different designs. Some of them you got to practically hold them upside down. But if you can get your thumb right on the edge of that bad boy and hold it, then you take this thing and you wipe the dust, as well as it's actually absorbing the liquid. It's not really wiping it off or squeegeeing it, because then you'd have it running off the side, and it's not. But you're going to squeegee off all the, you can see residue, you can see dust particles, etc., etc. So you're certainly welcome to flip this thing and give it a round 2 real quick to make sure. Actually, I've got another one sitting here that's already ready to go, to make sure that you can remove all that stuff and all those little particles of dust and that little smudge here or there. Now every step you can go back to. So right now I've got one little area here that's not quite looking as good as I want it, so I'm going to go back to this step, and this will give you a chance to just kind of see me do it again. So the normal procedure would be to scrub like this, and again, no pressure. You're just letting the chemical work, and you're going to take off all those imperfections. The normal procedure would be to do this for about 30 seconds. Flip to here, give it a quick spray down, and Once these things get really absorbed, you got to switch. You got to switch them. They're no good. They have to be able to dry this thing. So about 2 to 3 discs per pad. So yeah, I just have about 10 or 15 pads. I lay them out on the table, let them dry as I'm rotating, because I might do this for 4 or 5 hours. So I'm just letting them dry. Okay, and I can tell this is better than it was when I did it a second ago, but I can still see sort of that oily residue from those handprints. That's looking pretty darn good. So now you're going to let that thing dry. You're going to let it dry anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes, just depending on how quickly it dries in your house with certain ventilation and so forth. The excess lens cleaner that you got out and around the case will let you know if it's fully dry. So I'm going to pause the video, let this dry, and come back in about, I think it'll take about 10 minutes. Okay, we're back. It's 95% dry. I sprayed it a lot, so. Okay, so I want to emphasize why this step is important. Because if you were to just leave that alone, you're going to find there's actually residue. It's hard to see, and if you don't have good lighting, you won't be able to see it, and you'll think the DVD looks like a mirror, but in fact there's a residue on there. So here's how I do it, just with your breath, that type of deal. When you do that, the residue will jump out at you by the way that the steam from your mouth lands on there, and you'll keep blowing on it and wiping with the dry until that residue is gone. And essentially you're trading a very light residue that's relatively easy to get off with this from a very, this, if allowed to dry, leaves an awful residue. And you've probably all experienced that, where you cleaned something with Windex and you thought it looked good. The next day it looked like there was residue all over across the TV or whatever it was that you'd cleaned. So, but again, you need the ammonia and so forth from the Windex to actually get off the fingerprints or whatever that are on there, because doing this, what I'm doing right now, didn't work. I mean, this should always be what you try first. So again, I'm probably doing twice as much as I would actually normally have to do. So once it looks good and your breath just dries up and evaporates in a nice uniform way, you know there's no residue on there, you're good to go. Now, this DVD is definitely not going to make the cut. I can see there's just too many light surface scratches that I couldn't see until I got it cleaned. So, but regardless, that's how it's done. Hit me with questions and comments, like or subscribe, and the best thing, come to DansDVDHut.com and check out our collection.